Today I'm talking about the Pentax 17. Thrilled to finally get to speak about it after having this camera since November-ish. I wanted to share a few thoughts about shooting weddings, engagement, people, portraits, fun stuff, details, flash stuff, trees, I don't know. I've been shooting this camera quite a bit the last couple months. Don't be surprised, you will see a lot of wedding photos in here because that is what I primarily shoot. Thrilled to chat about the Pentax 17. Cool. So I was invited to test out this camera in November. I was on a photo walk with new friends at the time, film friends from the darkroom. By the way, all of the images you will see in this video were developed and scanned by the darkroom in San Clemente. They're great. We were invited to come try out this camera, chat about it, and then go on a small photo walk on the pier. Was given Kodak Gold to try out. I thought that would be very appropriate, very fun for some of the pictures that we did there. And what I'm going to share today, the thoughts are my own. I was given this camera just as it is. It had a lens cap, it had a strap, it had a battery. That's all it had. I actually didn't receive a manual. I don't know what the box and packaging looks like. All I have is this and my thoughts on it. I just want to make very clear that I am not in any way, shape, or form using this as a comparison video to the Leica MP, which is my main film photography camera. I would never do anything so blatant as to make a special nod to my camera or point out that it's a wonderful, superior camera. None of that. I'm really just sharing my thoughts with the Pentax 17 as a companion camera to any analog work that I'm doing for my couples and clients or for fun. It was after getting those first images back from the photo walk that I was really convinced that this camera could be a good contender. So pleasantly surprised at the sharpness. These images are really satisfying. I was able to really explore and play and really capture the scene of what I was seeing. And because of that, I was really convinced that this was, in fact, a good tool to use for weddings. A few spec things about this camera. First of all, the Pentax 17, aptly named because this is the first new film camera from Pentax. That's twice that I messed this up. It's the first new film camera from Pentax in 17 years. Your girl still has it. It's simple, it's charming. I love the 17 right on the front. And I love telling people that it's the first new film camera in 17 years from Pentax. Or anyone? The first time I held this camera, I thought it was cute. I'm gonna try not to use the word cute a million times in this video. But I did. I thought it was cute, but also it has a look of seriousness. Definitely looks like it's ready to get down to business. There's kind of like a titanium feel to the cover here. That was probably not a smart idea. I don't think that it's titanium. The little nozzle is cute. I love how it has the different modes. I like the little shutter. I like the sound of that. That is a sweet little sound. The feel of it is reminiscent of maybe a disposable camera, but something that also feels very much real. This camera has several different modes. The greatest tip I got is just to really keep it on auto mode. The camera itself is going to make choices for you, but it's been well tested. And I can attest that auto mode is amazing. It does work incredibly well. It also takes the guesswork out of what I'm shooting. I don't have to really think about how close am I to shooting food? Is it one person? Is it multiple people? Super landscape. I actually don't have to do that at all. I use this camera primarily on auto mode. This is a half frame film camera. Half frame meaning for the one frame, you get 2. In your 36 exposures, you get, that's right, 72 exposures. If your film has 24 exposures, do the math with me. That's 48 exposures, 48 chances or 72 to get it right. It's dangerous, and I'll get to that later. This camera must have a battery in it to function. I learned that the hard way. Changing the battery, of course, you just use the coin method to open this up here. They still leave some of the retro things that I love about film cameras. The note holder. Sometimes if you're like me, you may be shooting Portra 800 for a couple weeks because you didn't change out the film note holder. You're still changing your exposures, you just didn't want to take the extra time to take the note out. Frame size of the images, 24 by 17 millimeters, which is still plenty enough to print 11 by 14 image, compatible with ISO 50 to 3200. The lens is an HD Pentax lens. I don't know what that means. I do know that this lens is impressive. It is a 25 millimeter lens, which in 35 millimeter film is equivalent to 37 millimeters. The maximum aperture is 3.5. I found that to be fine. No problems there. Flashing charge is approximately 9 seconds, they say. I found that to be fairly accurate. I probably should have had a manual before so I could have looked that up and known that when I was shooting it with flash. Battery life, they do say it's about 10 cartridges. Depends on how much you're using flash. Obviously, direct correlation to the battery. The battery, I always just think they say that word better. Yeah, great. This camera has what I like to call an advanced blinking system. The blinking lights, there's a warm one and a cool one, orange and blue. They mean different things from dead battery to an exposure warning to how long the flash needs to recharge and if the film's not advanced. Basically, anytime the lights were flashing, I knew I was doing something wrong. This camera was so easy peasy to use. I actually, on 2 different occasions, gave it to my second shooter. If you put it on auto mode, pretty much good to go. Can't say that about a lot of other things in life. Like, what are you gonna be good to go with a lawnmower? Me, no thanks. When you put it up to your little eye, it is in naturally a portrait mode. You switch it around, it is naturally in a landscape mode. Honestly, just like this. And with the hand motion. So natural and easy if I wanted a quick snap of something, a backup shot of something on film, or I don't know, maybe I just wanted to play with it, which I did a lot. Just a little easy strappy situation. I used a variety of film stocks with the Pentax 17, some black and white. I used some color and a little bit more color after that. I think it managed well in an array of film stocks that I used. I couldn't say that I had any really bad experiences except the Kono ISO 8. It was a disaster, but that was mainly me picking an ISO 8 film. Notable film stocks, Psych Blues number 3, which is currently probably one of my favorite 35 millimeter film stocks. In number 3's case, this film has been pre-exposed to purple, blue, pink, different hues that are just throughout the film. When you're weird, why not be weirder longer? When I was going to incorporate some black and white into a wedding day, I actually found the Pentax 17 to probably be my favorite way to do that, forcing me to look for light a little bit better, be a little more thoughtful with my images throughout the day. Even got artsy for some, with and without flash. And then my couple gets a whole 72 pictures that are black and white. Kind of the perfect pairing. I used slide film for this. I used a Velvia 50. It was pretty rough, but I was able to actually save a lot of these and transform them into some of my favorite images. These were primarily from a bus tour we went on up in the Canadian Rockies. I ended up reversing the colors back in Lightroom to give me some really cool usable images. I was tempted to just leave them pink too, because I don't know, they're just weird. I don't do hard drugs, and neither should you. But I feel like this is like pretty close to that in a great and healthy way. I would actually for sure use this camera again with slide film. Because slide film is so special, just having like more opportunity and chances to use it is pretty cool. Just showing off a few more of the images that I captured. Some of the classics. I loved playing with sun flare. I tried to do it as much as I could. It's such an unusual flare. It has kind of that bursty quality to it. Anytime I can shoot into the sun, I'll do it. This all leads us to a few just negative things about using this camera. It is a little dinky. I'm the first to admit that I like a small camera, but this did feel sometimes like a toy, and it did sometimes feel like when I was shooting with it, I wasn't composing as thoughtfully as I do with, you know, some of my other film cameras. A lot of it I did get usable things, but I know for many things I just kind of would do a lot of throwaway shots just to get a backup or to have like an option, or, you know, frankly to test out this camera and what it could do. Had I worked a little bit harder to compose using the Pentax 17, I would have had some better results with it. That's a fault of my own. The old saying, when people have too many choices, they make bad choices, could definitely relate to using this camera. Sometimes because I knew that I had 72 images, I was just like throwing them away. I knew that I had so many exposures that I probably overshot a little bit, if not a lot. The proximity of the auto mode button to the shutter was just enough so that when I would advance the shutter, sometimes the auto mode would go misaligned. I think I learned after like the first wedding not to get prized moments with this camera. It does great for like lots of little moments. I got some great candid moments. I got some unexpected things for sure. But for a big moment, I would not trust this camera. I've gotten the shots that I know I wanted from a scene, then I'd pull this camera out for a different alternative version of something, a black and white version of something, or a psych blues version of something. I think that's a very fair assessment, and it's also a great tip if you are thinking about using this camera for weddings. Wrapping this video up, I will keep using the Pentax 17, mainly because they haven't asked me to give it back. This camera is so lightweight that I will, if I've packed up my whole camera bag and it fits in, it's probably gonna take the ride along. I just really like this camera. I like that I get 72 exposures out of it, being able to get a couple film shots if I need them here and there throughout the day. I would definitely recommend this camera over a disposable camera. I would recommend this camera if you're thinking about incorporating a little bit of film. If somebody showed up with this for my wedding day and this is all they shot with, I would be very nervous. But if they were just using it as a companion to get, you know, little shots of guests, I would be warm and welcomed to it. That concludes my very, very thoughtful, very thorough, I hope, review of the Pentax 17. Me using it for weddings and such. Life things, I am enjoying more off-season, shooting a lot around the coast, looking out for cherry blossoms when I can. It is springtime, meaning everybody's doing their Pentaxes. I'm also doing a blog post that will be in the notes of this video, so you can check that out. There is also a link to check out this camera. I do get a small little cut if you use the link below to purchase this camera from B&H, along with a few of my favorite film stocks below. I'm really working up towards more YouTube videos and documenting my life and, you know, like what I'm doing and what I'm up to. If you're interested, I would love if you would like and subscribe. Also in the comments, tell me things you're interested in hearing about, learning about. Thanks so much for watching this humble little video. The Mighty and Meek Pentax 17.